The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, welcome to the weekly Noyantis Usergroup meeting. Today is the 1st of June. Wow, time flies. As always, myself and Johnny are hosts, and as always, if you've got any queries or questions, feel free to raise your hand. I've already got a couple of questions in, which is good. But raise your hands, we'll get the mics opened and we'll tackle them accordingly. Now, I always like to start with what's going on, updates, and so on and so forth. We've got quite a few updates all currently in progress, all at the same time concurrently, which is bad actually, if truth be told. There's a report control update which some of you have got in beta, and some haven't, and so on and so forth. And that really should have gone out by now, if truth be told. There's a couple of things I want to finish before I'm going to basically put it as a build and let it go out, and so on. But it's nearing the two things I want left on the report control to stopping it from going out is we've done massive enhancements especially to do with the legacy enhancer, the page file loaded, but it's not file loaded, but the browse enhancer in legacy. But that's also meant that the ABCs also had a rewrite. So there's massive improvements of that. But there's one little niggle which is left, and that is where the underlining browse class, parry and browse, has loaded so many items, let's say 10 rows, and your report control shows them 10, but it can only actually maybe show 8 of them visually. So as you scroll down, it looks like the bar's gone past off the report control and so on. So what I want to really do is try and find a better way of tying those two in together. When that's done, then that that's done, and one other which I'll just tell you about in a second. When the other thing's done, then that is good to go. That's a build. It's had good testing and so on and so forth. So yeah, just 1 second. Just let me do my toggle timer. It's moaning at me that I forgot to start my timer. When that's done, it will be good to go out and be used. So the other facility which has just been added is if anyone's using the trackbar, and of course I think we mentioned it last week. Was it last week? No, it's bank holiday last week, public holiday, the week before. We mentioned where you can tie the trackbar to a calendar, and we use a blocks facility. So what I've just done in that is added a new method called find blocks. It's a bit like the calendar's find events, where you can give it a range and it will find you the events within that range. Well, the find blocks does the same. You pass it a row and it will give you all the blocks within that row. And this is user feedback where people are moving blocks around, but they want to know basically availability. Is it going to cause a clash? Now there's a clash manager built into it, but they want to know basically if they've moved something maybe to a different time of day and they don't want it to be at that time and so on. So then they can interrogate the actual block queue and find out those settings. So that should help anybody who's using the report control for that type of approach. And tying in with that, we've also introduced the undo manager. So now with the report control, you've got the full undo, so you can give yourself like a start point, like a checkpoint, if you will, and then an end point, if you so require, and you can undo and redo any of the actual movements of the rows and the blocks within that within those changes. That's if you turn on the that type of facility. But so it's got an undo manager. So good, really good enhancements to report control, and I will try my very best to get those two changes done this week. So we'll report back next Monday. So fingers crossed on that. I will try my best. As I say, there's lots of updates going on other projects. The nearest one, which can go out into beta, won't go out on release, but it can go out into beta, as early as possibly tomorrow afternoon / Wednesday morning. And I know, John, I think this is of interest to yourself, and it's the command bars. For those who watch quite regularly, which looking at the list, many of you do, on the command bars, we've done a major speed increase from the loading of the bars, and it's partly down to how we were basically doing the initialization. So we've rewrote that and made it much faster. Examples being where it's taking it down from 3 seconds or 3.5 seconds to something like 0.03 or 0.05 of a second. So that's the kind of speed increase we got. So it's quite dramatic. So that will be going out in beta as early as I say tomorrow afternoon, but realistically it'll probably be Wednesday. So yeah, John, I know that could well be of interest to yourself. And while we're talking about those speed increases, it has caused me to start looking at some of the initialization of our other products. So the report control, which I've just mentioned, that also has the initialization changes. So the initialization where you are painting your columns and setting all the attributes of them, like can they be moved, can they be removed, are they allowed to be sortable, so on and so forth. The initialization of the actual report control columns has also been enhanced. So that's in the new build as well. So the new build's actually got quite a lot in it, even if you don't use the browse enhancer facilities and so on and so forth, which I'm not a great fan of, but believe me, they work so much better on the new one. But even if you don't use those, there's lots in the new build. Calendar is also in dev at the moment, and our new HTML editor. So just one quick, for those who have the HTML editor, which is quite popular to be fair, you might be aware, it used to be NBit, so they changed names, it's still the same guy, and became Zupeltech, or Zupel Technologies, or not Facebook. No, that's not them either. HTML editor. Okay, so basically, for those who've got the HTML editor, the older one, up to version 3.23, then they currently now consider that the legacy, and I don't think they're doing any work. It uses the IE engine, and so on, and of course we all know that's getting quite dated, and so on and so forth. So what they've done is they brought out a new one. It's not based on IE engine or anything like that. It's totally standalone. I think it does call certain bits within Windows, but so do all of the products, for that point. So this is the replacement to the old one. I think it's an upgrade if you want it off them, although don't go via their pricing. We get a discount, which we always pass on to yourselves. We don't make anything off the actual controls themselves. But if you're interested in upgrading, let me know and I'll get a direct price from them for you. The new one is much better. So our template wrapper is actually in dev now, and we're just basically it detects what version you've chosen in the global extension, and it initializes and sends the correct commands to either control. So it's still compatible with the old one, and will continue to be compatible with the old one, but going forward, it's also going to be compatible with this new one. The template update is free, of course, as long as you've got a plan, but the control isn't. So it's slightly a bit different. You have to buy the control if you want that control. There's probably other updates going on, I'll be honest with you, but that's enough for now. Okay, so questions. Bill's first. Bill was first asking the questions before I got it. So Bill, let's open the mic. Where are we?
Hello, Andy. How are you and everybody else today?
Yes, I'm all well. Hopefully everybody else is.
If you want to give me the screen, I can it'd be easier for me to show you this, because I just put together a little trying to get some experimenting with some things.
Okay.
And long overdue. Is my screen showing?
Oh yes, sorry, yeah, we're looking at your
Oh,
Clarion.
okay. Okay, and what I had three basic questions. One deals with the toolbar here, shortcut bar,
Okay, shortcut bar, yes.
and as you can see, it shows up down here, but it works up here, and I'm not sure what I did wrong. So anyway, that was one question, was how to fix that, and then two was
Well, should we tackle that one first?
well, let me just go ahead and show you the other two, and then that way we're ahead. And then this one is a report control, and I had a couple questions about searches, and also how to hide the FieldPicker.
Yep,
So,
of course, yep.
Yeah, going back to the other would be great.
Well, let's just run that again for me, Bill, if you will.
Oh, okay.
So you've got the shortcut bar on the left. I presume you've added it as an extension to the AppFrame.
I thought I did, yeah.
Yep. Okay, that's no problem. So you've got a bar. You've defined a bar. You haven't given it a name. So you've got the bar, but you haven't given it a name. So that's why you've got a blank bar. So you can give it a name and an icon if we so wish.
So, and that would be on the window itself. Or...
No. Go to the. Are we on the AppFrame? Okay, so let's go to the AppFrame. Go to extensions.
Okay.
And we've got our shortcut bar. Brilliant. Go to the bars tab. So we've got one bar. You said it's going to contain system menu. I wouldn't use that. I'd probably use a navigation, which is I think what you are. So you want to change that to navigation tree.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. Go back to it's okay. Go back to your system menu. It's okay. That's fine. It was just if you're going to pick, but you might have lost your options there. Yeah. Okay. So let's give that bar a name. I don't know if you want to give it whatever name you want. Not the ID. The ID is unique. Yeah. So a name there.
Oh, okay. Main menu's fine.
Well, this will be the user will see this. So I don't know if you want a space in there. It's a presentable name, visible name, rather than.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is just an experiment, so I'm really.
Okay, and if you give it an icon, then you'll see where the icon will appear when it gets contracted.
Okay, I don't even know if I've got.
Just I tell you what, NYS. Do the little tilde and the NYS icon. Yeah, no, cancel that and just. Oh, it's taken it. Yeah, very good. Okay. So let's have a compile of that and let's have a look at what change that's just done for you. Okay, so now we've got that. You've got the icon. Now, if you show fewer buttons, and you'll see that bar is down there, and the actual client area has increased. Now that's decreased, and you see the bar. The icon looks rubbish. I don't think you're using a manifest. I would turn a manifest on with this so you get the icons painted correctly.
Oh, okay. I guess what I was trying to do though was get this stuff to appear in this.
Oh no, that's for multiple bars. So what will happen down at the bottom there is if you have multiple bars, then the bars physically showing that control. The system menu that you're looking at there is what appears in the client area of that bar. What is it you're trying to achieve? Do you just want to put your own menu in there?
Yeah, what I was trying to do was take these items here are populated by what I put in the. I just had it copy the main menu
Yeah.
Inherit the main menu, and it all appears over here like it should, but it's not part of this shortcut bar.
Well, no, that is actually working correct as you've got there. So basically, what it's doing is you've got a bar. You called it main menu, and the
Okay.
content of that bar is the system bar, which you've got at the top, and it's populated itself from the system bar. If you wanted, but that's what it would do. It would like show it as like a tree type structure, and you can give it some default icons and so on and that automatically. But that's the expected behavior that I would see there. So all that does is if you've got multiple bars, so you've got main menu, let's say you had one just for browsers and reports and so on, then bars would appear stacked on top of each other, and you could contract and expand the bars, and that's where they would appear down at the bottom. But they wouldn't add themselves to that little the little arrow, what you're looking at there. That's actually working correctly. That's a shortcut bar in action.
I guess maybe I didn't call it. Maybe this should have been a different tool. I'm not sure I understand, because these items here I would expect to be underneath main menu.
Oh, okay, I get where right. Close out then. What you can do. Yeah, no, I know where you're going with it. So, go into that. Go into the extension. And on your, now, just go to options for me. Resize select. There you go, show active bar on top. So it's the checkboxes, it's a fourth checkbox. So if you turn that on, and you've only got one bar, so it will be the active bar. So if you press OK to that and compile.
Oh, okay.
And what that will do is the main menu will appear above, and the content of that bar will be below. But you remember, you could have multiple bars.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Like so, yeah.
Okay, that gets me going. I just was I was at a loss for why it didn't appear in the.
Well, if you think out something like Microsoft Outlook, by default you would have all your bars down at the bottom and the content above them. So the default is to have the bars stacked up at the bottom, and you look at the active content at the top. So really, you're only ever changing the active content. But you can, as you've just seen, say, okay, I want my active bar to be above my content, not below it. So as you go through the bars, the active one will always be above the content. But you've only got one bar, so it will naturally be above it.
Okay, well that gets me going on that. That was just had me confused as to why it didn't. I expected it to automatically appear inside of that, I guess, but no problem.
Well, technically it is inside of it, but it's that relationship between the client area of it, the content, if you will, and the bar. And the default for that kind of interface would be to have your bars stacked at the bottom and the active content above in the client area.
Okay.
So,
and the other two questions I I think are pretty simple. The first one being what I was looking for was in the student browse here. So if I go back and look at this, well, I can't now, but what I was wanting to do. I might have gone to the wrong place here.
Explain. Yeah. Tell us what you're after, and I should be able to help.
The search data.
Now, do you mean there's a couple of ways you can do search. You can put a filter control on the screen, or you can use the inline filter and the inline search. Well, it's inline highlight really. Which mechanism are you looking at implementing? Both are only a couple of ticks. I tell you what, run it. Tell me what you.
Yeah, what I was wanting to do was like right here. I've got the search in here.
Oh, you've got that on, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then if I type in, like in this case, if I type in 141 dash and hit enter, it's going to bring me up everything that begins with 141.
Yeah, I think it's contains, but you've got a few different options. You could say contains, begins, ends, that kind of thing.
Right. And that was my question. Was there a way, is there a way to, for the end user to change that?
Yeah, it's only a property. So I'll have to find the equates, but what I can show you there is if you close that, I'll show you where the setting is on the template, and then we can see. Okay, so onto that.
You want me to open this?
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, double click that.
Oh, okay.
And then go to options, inline controls, and then you've got your filter. Now you can see by default it's case insensitive, and default is contains. So you've got a between, and I think it uses a pipe from memory, something like that. Could be an evaluate, thin list, so on and so forth. And I can say these, but basically they're the different options, and there's an equates for all of these. And all you really do is I'd probably turn the filter off and just change a property. Let me get you the property that you need to change. Okay, that looks good.
I mean, for the most part, contains will normally do what I need it to do.
Okay, so well, the property is the name of the class dot inline filter dot filter mode, and then you set it, and there's probably half a dozen equates which match what you've got there. So it's whatever you could put a radio control on the screen, an option with a set of radios for the particular ones that you want, and let them choose accordingly. And that would only action the next time they change that. So what you probably want to do is, I mean, we can work this together now if you like.
Yeah, what I was looking for was, contains is fine, but if some searches are like if they put let's say we put a asterisk, that would get everything that begins with an A, and then any wildcards that follow it.
Well, if you did a begins, if you scroll, there should be a starts with. Is it starts with? Let me get the equation.
Yeah, there's a starts with. No, but what I was saying, for a way for the end user to be able to, if they type in an asterisk, it does it one way. If they type in a $, it does it another way.
That's not a bad idea, because I know what they've typed in, and I know the field type. So if it's a string, I could let you put a wildcard in like so. But it's what you support. Switching it to a starts with for that one particular column, that's not a bad idea. I'll write that down. But no, there isn't now. You'd have to give them some kind of runtime option to change it at runtime. Whereas you want, like you say, you could do 141 and it'll give you anything containing 141. But if you did 141 star, then you'd want it to be anything that starts with 141.
Correct. Yeah, and I didn't know if I was missing something on being able to
it's
change that on the fly.
Yeah,
without having the end user go to a drop down or something.
Right. No, but I could probably do it where if the first character is a star, then and the last character is a star, then it automatically becomes a contains. If the first character is a star but the last character isn't, then it's an ends with, and vice versa. If it doesn't start with a star but it ends with a star, then it's let me get that right. Then it's a starts with. So I could work it out that way, but it would only really work on string type fields, date fields and so on. No, I suppose possibly you might get away with that. because they're only captioned at the end
Okay.
of the day. But no, it doesn't
Well,
do it now, but I do like the idea. So I'm just going to put that down.
Yeah, I'll shoot you a list of what I had, one of my customers had brought up to me.
Okay,
And,
dynamic filter mode. I can think straight away just by, I mean, depending if we've got time today, I'll even see about deving it today. But it's not, yeah, the starts with, ends with, contains, that's not too bad. The others, they're going to be a bit more difficult. So, you know, it's going to be, we'll call it dynamic filter mode and dynamic search mode, but they are going to be a work in progress for a few releases. But we'll just keep adding to it as we do with all the products.
sure. Okay, no problem. That answers that question real quick. That's what I thought it would be, something simple. And then the other question I had, and I could swear I saw this on one of the one of the demo apps, was like right now there's no fields available. Is there a way to make the field picker disappear, slide into itself, or?
No, yes, yeah, definitely. I'll have to show you on mine. Yes, definitely, but it's not just the field picker by itself. No, you have to use the DockingPane to do that at the same time. But I can quickly show you on mine now how to do that. It only take 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
So it wouldn't. Okay, I didn't know if I was missing something there where there was a property for it.
No. So because by itself it hasn't got that kind of power, but it's something that you could quite easily do yourself. So I'm just going to bring the screen back here.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
No problem. That's QuickBooks. Oh, that's different. And actually, we'll come out of that. But what I want to do is under our webinars, we'll create a new folder. Not that. ReportControl and DockingPane, something like that. Actually, I've already got that open. So, actually, I'm just going to switch which version because that's using the dev version, which is in progress at the moment. Let me just switch to that. I'm just going to go with a simple one. So it's a bit like, let's just compile it and find the best base example for you. So we want.
Because what I was trying to do was just set up a format for report controls that I'll use in my application, and I wanted to make them all consistent. So
no, that's fine. I'm just trying to find the field picker. There it is. Okay, so that example is what we're talking about, something like that. Now,
yes.
Couple of ways we can do it. Okay. if we're going to use the docking pane, now what the effect, schedule it always gets a mention. I'm going to go into it. Oh, not that one. Yeah. You want this particular effect, so just 1 second, just let it fire up. So you want it so the fields are over on the right here. So when you want them, you can grab them, pick them, and then it should put itself back when we're finished.
Exactly.
Like so. Now, we're going to use it's a docking pane that gives you the power to do that. Okay, and it just docks a control. We're going to use a field picker, but it's kind of irrelevant. We just want it to do, we want to do control. Now, if in here, in this window, which is all of this area here, so from just above the patient's icon down to the bottom corner, I've give docking panes the authority to take over all of the window, so it controls all of the content. Now, for yours, you might not want to do that. So, for example, on this example, we've actually got some clarion controls down here. Now, if I didn't want them controls, I would go with the approach I've just mentioned a minute ago. Give docking panes the rights to do everything on there. But we've got some other controls, and it might be on your screen. You might have some other clarion controls. So instead of using a docking pane that basically takes over all of the window, I'm going to use a positioned docking pane, which is only going to take over a certain area. Okay, so that's the first thing to realize. So I'm going to add our docking pane. And normally we use docking panes to do our whole application navigation. We don't want it for that. We just want it for this one window. So that's going to go with default. In fact, no, we'll go Office 2010. There you go. Something like that. And I'm going to go to our picker. Enhanced, no, not that one. There you go, field picker, that's our screen. So as I say, if we chose, there's two ways of adding the docking pane. If we go down to it here, you'll see one says docked and one says positioned. If we chose docked, then it would take over the entire area of the screen, meaning that these, unless it was actually used as a piece of content in a pane, these might be visible, they might not, and they bleed through. So that's the difference to understand. If it's going to take over, if it's going to handle all of the content, use the docked. If it's not going to use all of the content, use a positioned. So we're going to use a positioned here. And I'm going to say, basically, I want you I'm going to draw the docking pane, and I only want you to take over that part of the screen. So that's my docking pane on the screen. Then, with the docking pane on the screen, I'm just going to change the class because I always like to do that. I'm just going to give it two panes. One is the report control, and that's going to go to the left. I'm going to say RC for report control. I'm not going to give it a name. I'm not even. No, actually, leave some of these. I'll leave them like so. But I don't want it to have a title. And its content, I'll give it its size. I'll explain the figures to you in a second. So I'm just going to say of this 800 and 1000 going to the left. And its piece of content is a CodeJock wrapper. It's a report control wrapper. And it's an actual report control, which is the list, the report control on the left. Then we'll do our field picker. Similar settings like we got there. And I'm going to say 800 for the other one. I can't remember. I did. So on this, I think of it as a percentage, if you will. So I'm going to say this is 200 with 1000. That's going to go to the right. This is our report control field picker, and that's the control in question. So we've painted a docking pane on the window, only one particular portion of the window, and we've given it two panes, report control to the left, field picker to the right. In fact, actually what I should have done on this is actually say you are to the right of the report control. Quick compile of that. Okay, now we'll go to our picker. Okay. Now we can resize. Oh, and I said it can't be closed. Sorry, let me give that a title, so it would be better. So, but now we've got basically the two working together, only taking up the particular portion of the screen that we wanted it to, of course, which we told it to. And I'm just going to change the settings of that second pane, make it a bit more user friendly, if you will. Not that one, sorry. Our pane. Go to our pane. Go to our FieldPicker. Closed by default. I think it's that. I always get these two wrong way around. It's visible but closed. And we will give it a title. We're actually going to say fields, something like so. That's fine. Hang on a second. Yeah. Should have been over there to start with. There's our fields. We can pin it out. We can push it back. Don't know why we haven't got the title though. Oh, by default, fields. Kind of all looks okay, that. Not sure why I'm not getting the title there. I would have expected to, along the lines of in our app. Yeah.
On the other one you showed, it was kind of vertical, I think.
Well, it goes. It basically does. It goes both. So, for example, that's Chando. Sorry, wrong one.
Yeah, when it was collapsed, it was vertical, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, that's Chando. Don't worry about that. That's very much in dev. Okay, so yeah. So its title, as you can see here, it goes basically horizontal when it's folded out and pinned out, and then when it's folded back, it will naturally take on the vertical. It just folds out when required. But why you're not getting the title, I'm not sure. So I'll check that. But that's fine. Both of these are beta dev versions, which I'm on. Although I'm still surprised of why we're getting that, because we're using the build of this.
One quick question though, on the left-hand side, your navigation that you have, that one more further to the left. That is a shortcut bar, correct?
No, that's a task panel.
That's a task panel. Okay, that's
so many options.
Okay, so that's really what I needed to put on mine. Okay, I got you. I'll mess with that, man.
What you can do, you've done our training a couple of times, so you've got the app. Just let me find let me just get you the training workshops apps.
And I've got them.
Oh yeah. Let's see if this one's running here. Can't remember what state we left it in from from our training, from the compile point of view. So you've got the task panel, which you're looking at there on the left. You've got this example application. So this is a shortcut bar here. And the bars can go down and up. So you've got your multiple bars. You had one in yours before called main menu, but you could have multiple. Right. You could have one for report, one for browsers, one for reports, that kind of thing. But what I was going to say is you don't have to have a tree in there. What you could have is a task panel in there. So that can have a task panel, then that can have a different task panel. That can have a different task panel again, or it could have a tree. So basically what goes inside of each bar is entirely up to you.
Yeah, I was trying to inherit the main menu. That was the application menu.
That's a feature I put in. It's a quick and easy feature, as you saw. You just point it to the system menu and it reads it and paints it, and now emulates the presses as well. But if it's a long-term solution, then I wouldn't really inherit from the main menu. I would actually put them in. It depends on the size of the menu, of course, but you would get better results, better visual results if you manually created the options. But again, it comes down to time and requirement.
Okay.
So, but yes, you can just put a straight taskbar like you can see here, or you could use a shortcut bar and host the taskbar as one of its pieces of contents. So you've got a couple of options. Does that do? Actually, yeah, that's a task panel there. That's a task panel hosted inside of a bar. So you've got that example. All you do is you add your bar, as you already have done. But when it comes to the content, instead of saying system menu, you say Noyantis CodeJot and point it to the task panel. And then it will automatically take the task panel and put it into the bar for you.
Got it.
So, and the task panel can read the settings from your from the system menu. So you've got a couple of options open.
Okay. And that I didn't mean to interrupt the other part that we were on. So
yeah, okay, I'll just close that. But basically, barring why that title hadn't come up, just to recap on this, we don't want to add docking panes to the overall application. We can see the application is still the same, normal application. We just wanted it on just one procedure. So we've put it on that procedure. We've positioned it because we don't want it to take over our other clarion controls. Is it resize? I'll probably not set it to resize. So we'd have to have a look at the resize settings. But if the positioned area did resize, of course, the docking pane would resize, which means its content would resize. And it would give you the power of doing this or picking it up and letting users float, move them around. Of course, you can turn that off. You might want to, users can get yourselves tied up a little and then double click to put it back. Ooh, bit of a repaint issue there though. But I'm not really bothered about that because, as I say, I'm on a beta one, so and it's a repaint which is left before it can go out gold. So I'm not overly worried about that.
Okay, well thank you, Andy.
You won't get that paint issue on your version, but this is a better version, I've got to admit, but it's still not out in gold. But get your concept right first, and then we can always have a look at your version. And if we need to beta, give you the beta, then we can do that. There's ways and means.
This got me started. That's got me started on what because sometimes you watch the class and then it's been a while. So now I'm getting ready to work on this new version thing, and the report controls seem to be working pretty nice right now. So now I'm trying to get that going.
Well, in the next version, I'm not sure you've got, as I said, we've said about you've got an undo manager in there and so on, but we've added the reset fields like you would have in a Clarion browse. So you've now got reset, so you can just say, okay, if the parents change, the child report control will automatically refresh itself. So you've got a few new things gone in there. So, okay. Next.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem, Bill. Oh, Bill. Well, actually, one thing. Just to obviously we mentioned the training app there. You've also got the videos of it. So in case we covered it too fast here, of course you have the recording of this webinar. I'm keeping my notes, and basically immediately after the webinar we start the conversion. It's on YouTube anyway, and then it goes up to our YouTube channel with the notes. So you'll have the recording of this, oh, they'll have to wait. You have the recording of this, but you also got the recordings downloadable of the training content from the March and from CIDC. So you've got a couple of sets of recordings available to you.
Yeah, I think I've actually got them on either this drive or a different hard drive, but I've already got them downloaded. So
Okay.
this was just something I was experimenting with over the weekend, and I thought, well, let me bring it up as a question so that I don't get too far off.
Just 1 second, I'm going to have to get this. They're not giving up. 1 sec. Hi, sorry about that. Yeah, so you've got the recording, sorry, so to catch up. Cool, we'll go on to the next one. It's Roberto. And what's the question? Sorry, just 1 second. Hi everybody, sorry about that. Roberto, where are we? There we go. Hi. Hi Roberto.
And now can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
All right, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, I put in a couple of requests for some new methods in the
ReportControl?
Noyantis Usergroup. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I know you can't get them in this release, so you'll probably, I was wondering how
Actually,
it's
no,
possible.
it's the methods aren't too bad. I saw them. I only saw them this morning, actually. You must have put them in. Did you put them over the weekend or something?
I put them in very late last night. It's my yes, sir. I
Yeah.
put them in
Well,
last night.
I did see, the suggestion, and it's all regarding setting. We've got set row selected, and you've got you were saying about how about getting a set column selected, and so on.
And if you're
Yeah, I think. I mean, yes, yeah, happy to, and also get them into this release as well. So
in this release,
yeah,
holy mackerel! Thank you.
yeah, no, I don't see any problem. I mean, there's only what 4 or 5 methods, so that's fine. The only thing, there might be a slight variation on what you suggested, but it will give you the
That's
functionality
fine.
what you suggested. But
That's fine. As long as you let me know, I'll be more than happy. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how to avoid things that are not editable when I move the tab around.
got
And I
you.
can do that once the methods are in. But thank you. It's
Yeah.
greatly appreciated.
Oh,
And
no
it?
problem. I should have replied. At the moment, as anyone can probably tell, we are really busy. Hence, the updates haven't gone out. So it is a bit of a juggling, and we are trying to get out of the scenario. Brilliant from a business point of view, of course. But well, I say brilliant. It's good from a contractual business point of view, but it's bad from an update point of view. So we're trying to get this even ground, and juggling a few things. But I don't want the quality to go down, so everything still has to go through the test and so on and so forth. But yes, simple little methods like that where we can get them in, absolutely no problem. So that's the whole point of having the news groups and the webinars and so on. So that's good feedback in my mind.
All right, thank you, sir.
No problem.
That's it.
If I get them in, once I get them in, I'll pass you a beta so you can actually knock them around and be a second line of testing for me on them as well. So that's good.
We'll be more than happy to do that, sir. Thank you.
Cool. Okie dokie. Okay, so next we've got Steve. Where's Steve? Hi, Steve.
Yes, you hear me?
Yes. What time? Where are you? You in Australia, are you not?
No, I'm not in Australia. I'm in the U.S.
Oh, right, okay. I thought it was a different Steve. In fairness, we've got something like 190 different accounts. I do my best to remember them all. So, okay, so you got a question on docking panes?
Yeah, so I set up my docking panes, and then when each pane opens, it flickers. But when I go back to it, it opens fine. But is there any way to stop that flickering?
Now, the pane flicker or the content flickers?
Let me just take a look here. I believe it's the contents within the pane.
Yeah. And what's that content? Is it a control, or is it a Clarion window, or?
Yeah, it's a Clarion window.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just quickly explain what's going on that. Where are we? I'm going to use. Always use it. I'm going to use this again, only because it's a good example.
No, I like it.
You've got have you got lazy open turned on? I take it, which I would definitely suggest you have turned on for the pane which is hosting the Clarion window. So yeah, have you got the lazy open turned on?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Very good.
Otherwise, they all try to open at one time.
Exactly. Yeah. And in a normal MDI application, you might have 20 browse windows. You wouldn't go in and open every one of the 20 windows at the same time just to look up someone's phone number, that kind of thing. So the lazy open gives you that ability. But you get, now you're on probably a formal release. I can probably send you, I want to do just one particular change, and I'll send you the beta of the next docking pane. It's out in a couple of people already. They're using it, got much better results than the current one, and the current one's okay, by the way, as well. But the next one, obviously, it's a bit of a rewrite to the engine, and again, it's much stronger again. But what is actually happening then? First time I press this, so I want you to watch on the right hand side. Okay, you'll get a bit of a delay. So I press it, bit of a delay, and it opens. Now,
right.
Some more of that delay is it's initializing all of the controls. So the report control with a lot of columns, and this isn't using the new speed enhanced report control. It's using the normal one, and it's not using the speed enhanced command bar, of which you're actually looking at 3 bars, one across the top, another bar here, and another bar down the left. So the speed enhanced, that initialization will be a lot less. And
yeah,
course,
but
oh, come.
But when you open this window again, is it still going to flicker like it just did?
No, definitely not. I can go off to another one. So I'll go to block time, and you'll get that delay, and that's it. Now, if I go back to that, what's actually happened there, first time I clicked on patient list, first time I clicked on it, it recognized that its content was going to be a Clarion window, could be holding various pieces of information, but it wasn't initialized. So the very first time, it had to start the thread, initialize its contents, of course, and come back to you. The very first time I clicked on block time, it had to do that same task because its content wasn't initialized. But when I click back on patient list again, then you won't get the flicker, you won't get any delay, because all you're doing is bringing it back into focus. So straight away it's there. So if I happen to be on that record, I navigate off, I go back to it, and I know exactly where I left it because it's just an open window. So your version, you're probably getting a bit more of a flicker, because that's what's been enhanced. All the opening mechanisms and so on and so forth been greatly enhanced, and stability as well, actually. So you do want to go on to the new one, but the last thing of the new one is just to do with repainting, which we saw a second ago, and so on. That's really the only bit which is really outstanding, and a few tires, of course, and so on. So the things I would recommend, but you're already doing, is have the lazy open turned on. The speed of this window, I probably chose by far the worst window, because it's got 3 command bars, as I mentioned. It's got a report control with a lot of content, and then inside of one of the panes is actually another clarion window. So on our example a second ago, where we had a report control and a field picker, this has got a report control and a field picker, and then an actual sub clarion window, which in turn has got a command bar and several report controls in it. So no wonder there was a bit of a delay, all of which are going to get a speed enhancement. But the point being is, if I come out of this app, let's go back in again. But I won't choose patient, I'll just choose a couple of the simple ones. So something like block time, simple, and maybe work schedules.
Well, one of the issues I'm running into with this flickering on my main screen, which is probably the busiest one, sometimes it flickers and then it disappears. I actually have to click on another pane and then come back to that one to open it up.
Right. Well, let me get the beta. What version are you on at the moment on the template?
It says 18.6. I guess I could move it up to 19.1 since I do have that.
No, that's the control. No, the actual template itself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, version 4.05.
4.05. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I'm on. Yeah. And the build of it's the build I'm on is 406 alpha, which is yeah. So, and just some of the things. Let me just grab the list for 406 and let's dock. Make sure I am correct on that. Pane open 19.1. Yeah, it's the 406, which has got all of the enhancements to do with the basically the engine, which handles the window manager engine, which handles which windows are running on what threads and so on and so forth. And not a million miles off. It's a good 60-70% rewrite of it to really enhance it. So yeah, and one of the other things which you can do, which might help, I don't know if you're using the report control, is let's go back to say that what we can do is say don't initialize the actual report control until after the window's been docked, so the window can open and get the empty content on the screen as fast as possible, and then let the content load once it's actually docked and the user sees stuff in front of them. So that's another little tip that you can do, and all that helps to do with the initialization.
Okay.
So the faster we can get the content, that, as in the window, not necessarily the report control content, but the faster we can get that window open and docked in the docking pane, then the better the visuals are on it.
Well, agreed. So now, when you open this program up, you go to for lack of a better term, a splash screen.
I call it like a host window, but yes, basically in this design, the AppFrame, which is the very top title there, is running, and then I start a maximized host window. I can show you. I've shown this many times, even though it's an application we're working on. I don't, quite happy to share the secrets, so to speak.
There's no secrets here, is there?
This is still Clarion 10, isn't it? Yeah. What's the C10? Goes to show how long it is since I've worked it. This is terrible. Okay, so we've got our AppFrame. All it does is call just an MDI child window, which by default is open maximized. No title, no anything. And it's this where all the content really works. So basically that has on it the DockingPane to take over basically all of the content. So like I've mentioned to Bill earlier, you choose the right DockingPane for the window you're working with. So I want this to take over the entire window control, window area. So I use the docked DockingPane, and then I just have my different panes. I want navigation to the left, I want dashboard to the right, and then I want all the other panes, which are my child windows, if you will, to be attached to my dashboard. So my dashboard should open, as I mentioned, to the right of nav, and then my other panes, for example, block, we were using block a minute ago, block time. On that, I would say, okay, I want that to, we'll quickly mention that, but I want that to be attached to the dashboard.
Right. No, but I'm saying your initial screen you're opening, you have an image on there.
That is actually the dashboard procedure. Yeah, so that is actually just a because it's going to be replaced with an actual true dashboard. So what you're referring to when I first go in is, I'm just wait for it. That is actually just a clarion procedure with an image on there.
That's all you're doing. So you just make that your first pane that it's calling up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. That's good.
No, I am good.
Cool. Well, I've drop me an email tomorrow now. I'll send you a beta across of 406, and take a backup of your 405, obviously. But I'll send you a beta across. A few people got the beta of 406, so it's you're not quite the guinea pig. Take a look, see if you get better results, and so on and so forth, and then we'll iron out any things you do come across.
All right, sounds good.
Cool. Okie dokie.
Thanks, Andy.
No problem. Just make a note of that note. DockingPane adding to a single window. And initialization. See, I'm very good at creating our notes now, so I can get them all in YouTube. Antonio, where are we? Are you still here? You are? Yes, Antonio. Do you have a microphone?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing, Andy?
Good. Yes, all good. Yourself?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Cool.
You've
got a question on reminders. Is that correct?
Yeah. Actually, I'm just getting started, so I haven't gotten quite the hang of it. So as far as I know, the reminders, they pop up once you have a calendar window open. A window with the calendar control open. But I want to see.
You don't have to. There's other ways of doing that. Yeah. You don't
okay, that's actually my question.
Okay. Well, that's good then. Okay. Well, let's go back to here. We use calendar, new loader. I use that example. Jump to our webinars because I did a example last week or the week before, and I used a really old example of the calendar. So we'll use this one. Okay, so we've got some reminders. Let's just run this. We've got the different flavors of reminder window. You okay with those? You've got the Kojak reminder, you've got the Noyantis reminder, and you can have your own reminder and so on.
A custom, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to use the Noyantis one purely for ease. Okay, so we're going to do that, and we have got a reminder which pops up. But as you say, the calendar has got to be present and loaded, and so on.
Right.
Now, we don't want that, but what you can do, if I run this now, we want a reminder to pop up just in our application when something's due. So I might be off in whatever procedure, but the reminder occurs and I want it to appear. Or going forward to automatically send out a text or automatically send out an email. That's some of the other things you can do and so on. So what we're going to do is go to the AppFrame. And on the AppFrame, we're going to add an extension from the calendar template, and it's going to be our AppFrame reminders. Okay. So we'll just add that. Oh, that's still doing it. Wow. Wow, that took some time. So we're going to add the control to the extension. Sorry, to the AppFrame. If you've got a toolbar, because you can't add OCX controls to the client area of the AppFrame. You're just not allowed. So you need some kind of host. Now, if you've got a toolbar, which we have, great. I'm not going to hide the toolbar. If you haven't got a toolbar, you could just quickly add one, have it 1 pixel high. It's kind of irrelevant because you can click the hide and it will hide that toolbar for you automatically. The only caveat I would say there, and this is nothing to do with the CodeJot controls, you can just take a standard Clarion app, could take it, let's say the Clarion School app, or the old Invoice app. It's kind of irrelevant. You can take a standard Clarion app, have a toolbar with the VCR buttons on the toolbar, and then add just an empty OLE container onto the toolbar, and it will GPF when you open your child windows, which have got the VCR, the list with the VCR buttons on there, so on the related VCR, I should say. So there's an actual bug in Clarion. It's been around for a long time. So if you are using the VCR controls, don't use the toolbar option. Okay. But if you're not using them, and not too many people do nowadays, to be fair, then use the toolbar. If you haven't got one, add one. If you have got one, do, and then just set the hide accordingly. So that's your first thing. You've got a delayed start, so the reminders won't kick in until maybe 30 seconds after your application is up and running. It's up to you, and so on. You set your data source. So now in this example, because we need to load data, of course. So I'm going to just take it from the file, and I happen to, because this is our examples, I'm just going to load our example. Thank you. Specify your table first. Okay. I'm not loading recurring. I just want the dates. So we've got that. It's got our fields in. So I'm doing that loading. We'll cover loading in a second, but this is basically you've got to give it some data, because how's it going to know what to remind you about if it hasn't got the data in the first place? So we've just got our fields specified in there. We want to know what dates, and we're just going to load today. So we're going to put it in day mode, today. Go across. We will do the related record, actually. In fact, I've got my example for that. Thank you very much. I'll even have it so you can update. So we should have an update event. Yep, that's fine. And then you go across to your reminders, and we're going to use the Noyantis reminder window. So compile that. And what happens now, we open it, and your reminders will appear. So no calendar is open. Technically there is. A calendar is running. It happens to be hidden on your toolbar, but that gives you the ability to basically run a normal calendar. So we can go to that, open. Should be able to open. Okay. Let's prove me wrong today. Should be able to open. Yeah, let's have a look at why that was. Just let me check the other one. Reminders, Noyantis, that, open. Yeah, that's okay, that works. For the open to work, make sure you've got your related record set. We have. Oh, sorry, I never said to click this. So yes, if it's been accepted, which of course it would be because I'm opening it, so you would need that to be set. Sorry about that. Won't be a second, just making a reminder. So we can do that, open it, open that, go and change it accordingly, and so on. And that's as simple. I'll mention the loading in a second, but that's as simple as adding the reminders to your application frame. That makes sense to you? Oh, I think you were muted. Sorry about that.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry about that. It muted. So yeah.
I was wondering, is there a way to kind of like complete, not the remind, but like, you know, like like get rid of that reminder and say like, hey, I'm done with this. How do you go about that?
Dismiss. Just press the dismiss, or call the dismiss method, of course, if you had your own custom window. But yeah, snooze will snooze it for so long. Dismiss will turn the reminder facility off. So I'll show you where we are. If I go into that one, which one is it? Fire inspection, 7 hours overdue. So we're on Monday there. It was due at 10 o'clock. So, and it's got the reminder icon. So if we went onto it, you can see reminder required. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to rerun it. That opens up. I'll dismiss that because I'm happy with it. Now, if you go and look at that data, and the reminder's gone.
Oh, okay. So that could actually mean the person just like completed the task, right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, Andy, got it.
Yep, cool. The only thing I'll say about the loading is, I mean, if you wanted to really be optimal on your loading, there is an example in here where you can load via a class. So what we mean by that is, where's our calendar? Oh, let's do load. That's going to be easy. Class parameter. So basically, if we look at our loading in this one, go to our calendar, and the loading is set to be manual. So manually loaded. Now the embed point where the loading is required will still be called, and that's data_load events. It receives the start and end date, and does it need to be forced to refresh? And what we're doing here is we call a source procedure called load events. We pass it the calendar class, the physical class itself, with the two dates, the start and the end.
Okay.
Now, in our source procedure, it's a source procedure. It receives a calendar class and then a start and end date, and it just goes off and does our loading as you would normally do manually, that kind of thing. So it's
Is that all the examples? That's
in the examples, yeah. So we do that. So what you could do is in your normal calendar, you could have your loading done by that. And in here, we could have done exactly the same. So for example, in fact, I will do it just to prove the point. We'll pinch that. I'll go back to my AppFrame, go to my calendar, and I will turn off the manual loading.
Okay.
Sorry, the file loading, and I'll set it to manual. So data source, back to manual. Okay, got to go to my embed point, and it was data_load events. And I'm just going to basically in there call load events.
Oh.
So I'll put that in. compile that. No magic prototype because I've not what? Load events. Oh, the class. I never renamed. Sorry, it's a class name. I always rename the class, and I didn't do it before. That's purely my own fault. Just 1 second. I hate it where it puts the instance number on the end. So let me just get Calendar Pro. What normally I do, like for the report controls and so on, report control would be RC colon and the name of the table, and the field picker would be FP colon and the name of the table, so I know exactly what which one's which. But yeah, into here, you proved me wrong. Okay. Why has I decided not to do it? Don't you just hate it when that happens? Load events, pass it the calendar, pass it the start and the end dates, and a population to redraw. Oh, no, sorry, it's working. We turn the reminder off. Let's put the reminder back on again.
Oh yeah, you turned it off.
Yeah, forgot about that little nugget. Right, okay, so we put that back on, and we just rerun. I won't compile, just rerun, and there's our data.
There we go.
So that just gives you the ability to have just one central load routine and use it in all your calendars. And a little tip, and I'm going to put this in the examples at some point if I get a chance. What I do in some of our apps, this must be some debug, what we did last week, so ignore that message. That was, like I say, this is a webinar. This was from the last user group webinar because we were saying about efficiency of loading. But if we go into here, what you can do, and I do it on mine, is I give them a live view of the calendar, because in here, as you're moving it around, we can see if you're going to clash. That's fine. If that went into a clash, we would instantly know. But if you're in a form and people are just changing the time blindly, then you don't really know. So what I do is I give them an extra tab and give them a live view of the calendar. So and basically have this in static area at the top. So they've got a live view of the calendar underneath. So as they're changing the time, the appointment that they're currently editing will actually move. So they can see if they're actually going to go and cause their own clash.
Okay.
But using that load routine comes in handy, because exactly you can use that same load there. So you've just got one centralized load routine. So it can be a handy mechanism to have.
Right. And is there a way I can catch that? When a person just clicks on the dismiss button, because I want to do like register something on some log, and this.
Well, there is an embed point. So
that's my question.
Yeah, there is. So you can see event.
Oh yeah, there it is. Event reminder dismissed. Right.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to say I know it was there. I was looking for event dismissed. It's not. It's a reminder dismissed. So yeah, that would trigger for you.
All right. Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay. How are we doing for time? I'll just stop that one. Alex, I want to look at how to do what it was. Alex, I'm going to open up your mic.
Okay.
Hi, Alex. Hi,
can you hear me?
Yes, good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Thank you. Thanks for calling on me.
No problem. So, yes. What's your question? You said. You could show.
My issue is in my application, I'm using skins, and some of my forms in Windows have prompts and strings that look blocky. And the thing is I've tried changing them, either switching between prompts and strings or using the transparent property, and it doesn't seem to make a difference. In fact, a little while ago, I sent you an email about it, and I showed you a screenshot of a procedure as an example procedure where everything was blocky. And then I kind of went off doing some other things, and as you know, we dealt in some other issues, you and I kind of abandoned that issue myself. And now I've come back to it, and interestingly, that window I sent and many others doesn't have that problem anymore. It just went away, but others, it still has it. And I've tried to find a common denominator, but nothing. I mean, I've done all sorts of crazy things, from changing how I generate my manifest to all sorts of these global settings. Nothing seems to matter. As far as the windows, whether it's double or single, nothing. And if you want, if you want me to, I can share my screen and show you a couple examples. I've got everything ready.
What I was going to suggest is, because I mean, this SkinFramework, I think we've mentioned in the past. I don't know if anyone uses. Let me just run a thing for you. Win ID. No, okay, just 1 second. So if I just give you a bit of background of how actual the SkinFramework works, because the actual from a template point of view, it really is simple. But then it basically passes control over to both the CodeJock SkinFramework control itself and to the Clarion runtime. So there's very little. We either say, yes, I want to do prompts or strings or boxes and so on, that kind of thing, or maybe not boxes, or I don't. But once they are done, there's no settings at a screen level. It's all done either via the OCX itself with a combination of the Clarion runtime. So I'll just get you just one particular thing. So just won't be a second.
Okay, thank you.
If I can find it, of course. Yeah, okay. So there's a little utility called Win. I should already have this installed. I do, yeah. Don't need to do that. I thought it's actually there. Okay, so the little utility called Win ID. Okay, and this tells you, so we're in Clarion here, but as I move around, you can actually see what the class is. So I'm on a sheet. If we look, I'm going to just quickly looking for this class name here. Okay, so as I move around, you can see that I'm actually on a Clarion sheet. And if we go on to here, that's the Clarion button. I'm on the client area. I'm trying to see where the mouse is because I was busy. Oh yeah, that's the client area. Now I'm on a button. Now I'm back onto a sheet and so on. And then you're off actually into the IDE, which is created with WinForms. Okay, so this actually tells you the internal class name, and you can tell a bit of how an application is actually written. So that's just telling you about the class. So that's that. Now, when you come to the skin, I'm going to open up. You schedule it again. Okay. This doesn't use a skin, but I can open up a skin example for that matter. I'm just going to open up a form. So we're on here. So I'm on a report control. So there's a class name, the XTP report. Then I go on to a command bar, which is the XTP toolbar. I'm just going to go into a form, and I'm off into a Clarion, normal Clarion stuff. Child area, an edit control, a button, and so on and so forth. Usual stuff. Okay, a group. So basically, that's the first understanding. What you need to do is, okay, we've got these. Now, when you come across a skin, the skin framework takes a particular class and repaints it with whatever attributes it's told to repaint it with. Okay, and what the template does when you turn things on and off is it dynamically creates entities of these. So it creates a radio button, it creates an entry, a button, an edit, a button, a spin, things like that. It creates all those hidden away from you, gets the ID that they are known at that moment in time, which future-proofs us. I mean, I could have hand coded it to be CLA button underscore 01000, but just in case different versions of Clarion do actually change that, what I do is I dynamically create, I grab the class name via an API call, and then I tell what basically via the SkinFramework, what their term for an edit button is in Clarion. And I do the same for a prompt and an edit, a spin, all of them, a list, so on and so forth. And that's how they get mapped. But once that mapping's done, there's very little, well, there's nothing from a template point of view goes on, because that is all done in the actual window, the SkinFramework initialization. So once that's actually done, there's very little the template does. In fact, the template doesn't do anything more after that. It passes control over to the SkinFramework to basically, what it does is it says, okay, look at any CLA button underscore whatever. So look at any CLA button classes and skin them in such and such a setting as per the skin being used. So it's going to be really hard. We can have a look, but the answer is still going to be the same, if you will, because there's literally nothing's done at a procedural level. It's all done the initialization where this mapping takes place. So I've just moved the thing, but basically I'm on an edit there. So we say CodeJock know an edit control to be called XYZ. Clarion knows it as CLA edit whatever, and we say your edit needs to be mapped to CLA edit and the number and so on. So it's going to be a bit of a tough one, I'll be honest with you. The only thing I would say there, if you're getting different mixtures, is knock an example together and actually send it to CodeJock, because it's their rendering, it's their applying of the skins, which is basically doing the work at that point. The templates, you're way past the template code of the mapping. So all I can really say there is knock an example together of a couple of screens. They'll run something like WinID, and then pass them that working example. I know it sounds a bit cold, but genuinely there's nothing. If you look at the actual code, you add a global extension, you add it to the AppFrame, but once those two steps are done, it's over. I mean, let me just run the actual skin example for you.
I was just hoping that since for some reason in certain situations it works correctly, like it makes them truly transparent.
That would be the good example. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm wondering, what's the common denominator? I mean, what is being done right on those screens where it works? And I've tried to find the common denominator, but I can't find anything on that.
No, I mean, you're welcome. I'll send them the example if you want to knock it together, and I'll send it from me and so on. That's no problem. But basically, for example, this is a Clarion window, and we can see that you've got CLA list, and CLA button, and the CLA sheet. All the types of things we would expect. Is that a radio? Is it? Check. Sorry, yeah, check, and that's an option. So there's all our standard Clarion things. Now, this print dialog is the built-in command printer dialog. So that's a Windows. That's nothing to do with Clarion. Clarion's calling it, of course, but that's an API. That's actually written in. Don't even know what it's written in. Combo box and a button. So whatever we'll probably see, but whatever they've used in Windows to create that's totally outside of Clarion, but it still gets skinned, and it's all to do with these mappings. That's my point. So in this example application, it's added to the global, it's added to the initialize the AppFrame to initialize to do all these particular mappings. But once their mappings are done, all the other child windows, we could add 1,000,001 windows to this now. There'd be no template code go onto any of those windows. It's all over to the actual running OCX code, and of course the runtime of whatever language you're in, which of course is Clarion, and so on. But to be honest, it's not even over to Clarion to a degree. Clarion have closed off. Like you can see that skin, that sheet has not had its skin applied, and that's because it's got the owner drawn turned on, and the owner drawn is controlled by soft velocity. So they've said you're just not applying any skins to that type of control. Same with buttons. Back in Clarion 6, they would be skinned. They would be look like Apple buttons and so on. So if I change the theme to Safari, yeah, okie dokie, and go into that, yeah. Now they would have looked like an Apple, an Apple Safari button, but from I think it was about Clarion 8, Clarion 9, they turned on the owner drawn, so they stopped anything from skinning their particular types of controls. Bit of a shame. Bob did promise me he was going to add a backwards compatibility option, but never did. So that's but basically I'm not passing the buck. It's just absolutely nothing we can do because we don't do anything at each particular procedure level. It's going to be down to the CodeJock control. Now, is there any particular things which if you want me to if you want to put the example together and fire it across to us, I will definitely have a look, and if we can find any pattern, like you say, maybe you turn transparent on one, transparent on one, and so on, so we can use some utilities to see if we can see any kind of difference between one window and the next. I'm more than happy to do, of course I am. But as for a fix, you're going to have to speak to CodeJock on it because it's their control.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I figured as much that there's not much control. We're just hoping that there's some kind of trick. You know what I mean? Like something. For example, like at first I suspected that maybe I need to put all my controls in a sheet. That I was hoping that it was going to be something like this, but again, even that didn't work either. So.
I mean, I'm happy to look at it. I mean, it doesn't even have to be just the actual screen definitions, like the dot at the side of the window button. Just send me those on an email, working and non-working and that kind of thing, and I'll take a look and see if I can see, knock up the example here using those kind of screen definitions and see if I can see the difference here. So I'm perfectly happy, but I know when it comes to the fix, I'm still going to have to go back to CodeJock and say, why am I getting these differences? Because it's completely way past, the initialization of the control. And the whole point of a skin framework is you add it at the very highest level. You add it once at the app frame, and then any window on here. So if it was a browse and an update form, then that would naturally take on the skins, the frame settings. But there's no settings on any of these windows. It's all done on the app frame.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll write up an email explaining the situation to you just to see if you can take a look. But I understand that there's
include a couple of the actual definitions, so I can take a look here. I mean, don't mind taking a quick look on your screen now, if you don't mind. Happy to.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, let's have a quick look.
Let me know when you can see.
Looking at Clapper.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, here's an example of a window that used to look bad, but now it looks good. Now, if you look here, most of these are prompts, but some of them are strings. Like we see where it says Saturday, that's an actual string. Okay? Whereas select first name, last name, those are prompts. And you see everything looks good. I mean, as far as not blocking and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Yet, for instance, look at this form right here. Strings and prompts, look how they look. You see that? You see how like it's
is that transparent? Because that check-in looks like it's got
nights and Saturday, everything is not transparent, even though it's marked transparent. And like I said, I've chewed on this for hours. Like there's no difference. Like I've tried to spot, okay, what is different about this? Clearly something's different. Maybe, I've looked at everything, making, the windows double over there, double over here. I've tried, but
I was going to say, is
Nothing
it
seems to
resize?
make
It's not nothing to do with resize code or anything like that.
No, no, nothing to do with that. I've tried anything like low hanging fruit. You know, I've looked, and I'll send you an email, and I'll send you some window definitions. I mean,
Is
I'm
that
hoping that I'm missing something. That's the thing. I understand it's out of your control, but I was hoping that there's something, because assuming that CodeJock is just code that runs, my point is, why is it running here correctly, but not in some of these other windows? Another example is like this form here. Like, look at this, for instance. See, everything here is like this. And
is
where's the, like
no,
this, everything looks good, but the one on top here is blocky. So it seems to be off and on. Some windows look good and some don't, and I can't seem to find a common denominator.
so is this multi DLL or is it single exe?
Yes, it's multi-DLL.
Okay. Now
But
you've got some settings at each app level regarding transparency on sheets. Are they all the same?
they should be, and I tried actually
Worth checking
toggling
those.
that.
Yeah.
But interestingly, everything I'm showing you, I've showed you so far, are within the same DLL where the AppFrame is.
Right, because
That's
that was
basically,
going to be one of my next questions.
yeah, so far I've showed you the inconsistencies even within this particular app, even though there's a lot of DLLs, but the DLL where the frame is where I'm showing you everything. So,
Well, here's the interesting thing. Send me a couple of the definitions, as you said. Okay, I'll put them in the same app as a test, and I'll see if I get the same as you. Now, I won't have some of those extensions. I won't have any of the extensions or anything like that. I'll just have two plain windows. One of yours, like you say, is good, and one bad, so to speak. And let's see. First off, imagine you could do that yourself, to be honest. Just put them into a little, a little app. Don't import the procedures. Literally, just copy the definition from two new procedures in a brand new app. Copy the window definition, the good one to the procedure good, and one to a different procedure called bad. Compile it and run it, and you still get the same. And if you don't, then start having a look at what extensions you're using in the others. Is there something else which is causing, the issue? So it's going to be basically a trial and error task to try and rewind back to what's causing the issue.
okay. One more thing while we're on this. Again, I'm thinking this is probably out of your control, but I just wanted to know if you've heard any of this. When you look at the screen, if I see how I'm hovering over these fields and it's all good. However, like over here, see how like when I hover over the fields, over the prompts, they turn kind of like boldy a little bit. And
yeah, it's
did
like
you see that?
Painted. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Have you heard of that before? Is that something like a thing that work around or anything about that?
No. First, first I've seen.
Okay.
No, sorry. Again, I would have that. If we need 3 procedures, one identifying each particular thing. So one is your overall good, so to speak, and then one representing the others. But I would start with a brand new app. Does that do it? And if they all work in it, then it's something you've got on those procedures. Might be resized, might be a third party, might be whatever, but it's having an effect on it. Might be a window setting like zip prop buffer, might be something like that.
Okay.
There's a few options which there's far too many options to necessarily, like you say, point it straight back to CodeJock. But my point, I weren't passing the buck earlier. I'd never do that. But my point being is, I will gladly help diagnose, but I'm not going to be able to fix it because it's either something in a window which you're using, third party, or it's an actual issue in the control itself, one or the other, and so on.
Okay.
But personally, for me, I would definitely two, three windows where you've got different states of them, for want of a better term. I would copy just the definition, not import the procedure, because you don't want all the deadwood. I'd have a brand new app, three procedures. Just copy the definition in, get a compile out of it, and then run. but with the normal SkinFramework settings that you use, of course. So the global extension and the application frame initializer. Add those in the normal way, and you get the good results or bad results. If you get bad results, then and there's no third party, there's no embed code changing prop buffer or anything like that, there's no other templates, and you still get bad results, that's a perfect example to pass to CodeDoc and just say, why am I getting this result, these issues on these windows when they're all defined very similar. If they do work, then it's a game of trial and error to start commenting out embed code and taking off third-party extensions or other extensions to see what's causing it on those procedures.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you for the advice on that. That's good. Thank you.
Do let us know, genuinely, and if I'm glad to help here, and so on. No problem. But I would be intrigued to know what it is.
I'll
for
do
knowledge
what
point
you
of
said,
view.
and I'll share with you if my results on that.
Cool. Yeah, very good. And on the report control about the, I know we haven't mentioned it there, but I know it's on the list. The report control about the prop items and so on. I said, I don't know if you caught it at the start, but I mentioned early on in the webinar that there's that, and finishing off one particular other feature which is which is currently in there now, which is on the list for this week. So I will try my very best to try and get an updated beta to you this week.
I really appreciate that, Andy. Thank you.
No problem. Right. And we are there. Antonio lost audio, but I think we covered that. And Alex says hi. Well, he's just said hi in person. I think that's it. No other questions off anybody? And we shall wrap it up. So brilliant. Really enjoyed that. I've got the notes from the meeting. I will start the convert going once we've finished, and it will be up on the YouTube channel fresh in the morning with the notes. So thank you, everybody. Until next week. See you then. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.